They rise out of our nightmares and into our world. Monsters, demons. Since ancient times, they've stalked us, the dark dreams of our imaginations. But could they be more? Could they actually exist? Around the world, a band of explorers is now searching for real-life monsters. They're ordinary people on an extraordinary mission to find proof that these strange creatures might be living among us. It's a quest that will take them to the edge of darkness and beyond.
I believe there's definitely something out there.
I think it's a biological creature.
For as long as we've walked this earth, it's been the same. From the deepest jungles to the bottom of the sea. Wherever there's an unknown, we have filled it with monsters. Of course, you probably wouldn't expect to find a demon just 2 hours south of New York City. But enter the dark swamps of New Jersey's Pine Barrens, and you might just encounter a winged creature of the night, the Jersey Devil.
The Jersey Devil's been like a legend around here forever.
People don't wander around out in the woods here at night. People are afraid of running into the Jersey Devil out here.
Said to devour farm animals and even children, the Jersey Devil has terrified residents of Pennsylvania and New Jersey for more than 2 centuries. Today, you'll find images of the monster everywhere. From the bars to the local hockey team, it's become a kind of cultural icon. But don't tell that to the Pineys, the descendants of the original settlers who still live out in the remote woodlands. Every year, they report sightings of the demon. They're sure it's still out there, and it's still as scary as ever.
I seen this thing going across the top of the bushes, and the only way I can describe it is that it was like the Mobile horse, the sign of the Mobile horse.
Yeah, it sounded like a woman screaming, but real loud. If you can picture amplification, loudest scream you ever heard, maybe 10 times more or even 15 times more, where it would wake you up out of a dead sleep and it would just scream bloody murder. And I'm telling you, you had to hear it to believe actually how loud it would be.
The stories go back centuries. Native Indians told of the horned one who stalked the barrens. The most well-known legend began in 1735 with the wealthy Leeds family. It's said Mother Leeds had 12 children and finding herself pregnant again, cried, "Let this one be a devil." The 13th child was born a shrieking demon with a horse's head, cloven hooves, and bat-like wings. Some say the devil killed its parents, then disappeared into the Pine Barrens to haunt these dark woods through the centuries. Today, true believers are on the trail of this phantom.
During my shift, you're the first response to like an emergency call where somebody's having trouble breathing.
In southern New Jersey, this local emergency response team has an unusual passion. Each day at work, they're saving lives. In their downtime, they're chasing monsters.
Mike and I work 10-hour shifts, so sometimes it's a little rough. It's one of these jobs where you're never not on call. It's like a driving force all the time, 24/7, you're always on call. You're always looking out for something to happen. To be a devil hunter, you have to, well, we'd like you to be 18 or older, but if you have parent permission, we allow that. That's for a regular hunter. We have 2 different types now.
We hold interview processes, and because one time we did take somebody who was a little bit crazy out into the woods, and we decided we weren't going to do that anymore.
I don't want to be out there in the middle of nowhere worrying about the guy behind me and what he's capable of doing.
You know, we don't plan on hunting, we don't plan on doing, we're just out there to research. If we ever saw it, we're not going to actually go up and stab it to death or something like that.
I don't want us to come up on our moment of discovery, and there's the Jersey Devil in its glory, and it doesn't hear us or anything, so we can photograph it in its complete natural habitat, and this guy pulls out a gun and shoots it. You know, we want to make sure we know what everybody is going to do, what everybody wants to do.
Sean, Mike, and Laura have been actively searching for the monster for years, returning day after day, week after week, to the Pine Barrens.
There's just the immense curiosity that builds up behind this legend. How can it be a hoax when all of this stuff has happened? How could all of these people have seen it? Is it really the 13th child? Is it a biological creature we haven't found yet? What is it?
The Jersey Devil has been called the official state demon of the state of New Jersey.
All states have state birds, butterflies, fish, but New Jersey's the only one with a demon.
The Jersey Devil has a number of forms. Quite a few monsters just have maybe one form that they're known for, but the Jersey Devil has been anything from a demonic type of shape, one of its most common features, kind of gargoyle looking, with a horse-like head, bat wings. Put that all together, it makes it a kind of a different, unexplained monster.
Shot at by a hero of the American Revolution, cited by Napoleon Bonaparte's son, and still tracked to this day, the Jersey Devil is one elusive customer. Perhaps its best-kept secret is the birth house. According to legend, the Leeds family home is the source of its power, the place it always returns to. Destroyed by a fire in the 1950s, the house's location is unknown. But the devil hunters believe that if they find the site, they may just find the creature itself.
You got notepads and everything?
All in the bag.
Night vision and communications gear in place, the devil hunters head out on a search that will take them far into the night.
Still in the trunk?
Should be.
Our first couple of expeditions were very uneventful, were very tiring, and were very they felt like wastes of time. We started focusing our goals instead of, hey, let's just end up in the woods. We collected information and thought of, let's go find the house that it's supposedly born in. Or let's go see if we can find any graves. Let's go check the area and, do some real research instead of just, let's go in the woods and see if the Jersey Devil catches us, you know?
The hunters feel sure they're now on the right track. For the past few weeks, as they've stalked the devil, it has begun to stalk them. Recently, there have been several reported sightings, moving ever nearer to their own homes.
Ever since we'd really started poking around deep into the heart of Leeds Point Woods, the sightings started getting closer and closer to our houses. In the past week, there had been a sighting consecutively for each of our locations.
I'm a skeptic turned believer. That's what it is. I'm a skeptic about everything in general. I need proof that it's there. But in the recent weeks, that's when it's been proven to me that there is the Jersey Devil, there is something out there.
I heard it again.
When darkness falls, the sounds of creatures of the night emerge, and so too do their tracks.
Where's that print? There, whoa.
A couple of strangely shaped footprints,
Yes.
and they don't seem to belong to any known animal.
Here's some new tracks we found today.
We're
None that we've ever
videotaping new
seen
tracks. Looks almost like whatever it was, it stepped slid.
Well, there's also
Sean went on to think about the tracks and point out the way they were walking was not in matched deer method with 4 feet. It actually appears more biped. So it looks as though it's walking like a human would be walking.
The only thing we know for a fact is that it's fresh.
And that's when we started thinking, I don't know about this. We've heard the Indian legends, we've heard of people just disappearing and becoming hunted, and the Jersey Devil knows where you are.
See that? A couple of logs, I guess. Pretty old. How about over there? All right, we got a small clearing in here. Watch your heads, guys. It's gonna be tight.
In the darkening woods, every sound is magnified.
You got it, Sean?
Yeah. We all in?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right, let's keep going.
Come here, Lori, you hear something?
Yeah, I do.
We've come across the Jersey Devil screech a couple times collectively, the people in the group. And it sounded like machinery and a woman and an animal all combined. It sent chills up my spine.
Step as quiet as possible.
It sounded exactly like what I've ever heard described.
Shh. You guys hear that? What was that?
What was that?
I'm sure it immediately can sense the fear.
We gotta remember, we gotta transverse the fence at like soon.
Did you hear that?
I just saw something like just some red.
Oh, transverse the fence.
We have to transverse the fence somehow.
The fence. Like, who are we saving ourselves from?
We haven't gone back there, so now's really not a good time because it's nighttime.
I think it's back that way.
No, my sense says this way.
My sense says that way.
Nervous, disoriented.
You go that way, I'm gonna hit
The hunters are now lost in the woods, and it seems like they've got company.
You know what? Maybe I'll go that way.
It's moving with us. I can hear it. Did you really just see the tree shaking?
Yeah.
We definitely have to come back down here and investigate some more.
It was just freaky for me. I felt like a cold wind over my back, and I don't know, it felt like eyes were on me. So
Did you feel it the second time we walked back in there again?
Mm-hmm.
Just know that it is a very smart creature. It can track you, it can hunt you, and it knows whether you're there just to look for it or whether you're there as an aggressive force against it. All right, I'm seeing road lights.
Yeah. I mean, look at that.
Was that noise in the bushes an encounter or not? This time, the hunt may have gotten a little too close for everyone. Elusive as the devil is, it has left a trail over the years, emerging from the forest to wander the back roads. This is said to be one of its favorite haunts, Batstone Mansion, a remnant of an iron mining town dating back to the American Revolution.
Some people say that this is the most commonly seen location of the Jersey Devil.
So probably many a night it's flown around this place.
In January of 1909, the Jersey Devil apparently left the Pine Barrens and began to roam the Delaware Valley, leaving footprints as it went. Hundreds of observers cited it in towns throughout New Jersey and Pennsylvania. And these weren't just bumps in the night. People described in great detail the creature's horse-like head, bat wings, kangaroo legs, and blood-curdling screech. A fire department even reported trapping, then hosing down a Jersey Devil on the roof of a house near Philadelphia.
In New Brunswick and Trenton, trolley cars had armed shotgun riders, and a train in Haddon Heights was buzzed by the Jersey Devil.
On the hunt for more information, the team has turned up a lead from a local historian, a clue that brings them to the Smithville town graveyard, where they hope to find evidence of the actual historical figure that was the Jersey Devil. They're looking for the grave of one Smith J. Leeds, the child some believe actually became the winged demon.
It was very eerie when we found the tombstone. We're walking through the cemetery looking for names and looking for dates, and I just walked right up and saw Smith J. Leeds, 1890 to 1892, and we almost dropped the cameras.
Now deep in the woods of the Jersey pines lives a horrifying creature that will make you...
I had an idea that I was thinking of a little
At the JD Pub, it's time to regroup. The team has come away from Leeds Point with a new tip. A direct descendant of the Leeds clan has quietly given them a hint about the location of the family house, well to the south of the first hunt. Now it's time to plot strategy and begin a new hunt.
Every time I feel like I'm a little bit weird for going out, like my parents always say, "Oh, you're going out there devil worshiping," you know. And people don't understand it sometimes, but I really like what I do, and the more people who are receptive to it, the more comfortable I am doing it.
Right. It is Leeds.
Don't watch out.
On the hunt for the Jersey Devil, myth and fact are often intertwined. But early the next evening, as the team sets out, they may be getting one step closer to the root of the mystery. Now they're working with a clue to the site of the devil's birth, the haunted place where it is said the creature must return. It's a site shrouded in mystery. Many would-be hunters have been led astray by people not wanting to reveal the true location. And then, the woods reveal something.
You see that?
Yeah.
Take a look at the charred wood we've got over here. Clear out that entrance for us.
It's the foundation of a house. The team looks for signs of charred wood, since the original Leeds home burned to the ground in the 1950s.
Basically, the entire thing, if you can see, it definitely burnt. It was definitely burned at one point.
Why don't you hop in there, Sean, and see if we can get some video.
They can't be certain this is the devil's birth house, but the evidence looks good.
I just can't believe I'm standing in the house foundation.
They peer into the shadows, but while the devil remains out of reach, the team feels certain that they're getting closer, that it's only a matter of time until they find it.
This legend has penetrated itself so much into our history that people actually believe a woman cursed her baby and there's the Jersey Devil. And I want to know why. I want to know why that has lasted for 265 years. Why even the Leeds family to this day, they swear that it's a blood relative of them. I don't really buy into all of that, but I definitely think there's something out there. And like it or not, that legend is a part of New Jersey's history.
Honestly, I think we gather more and more proof about the Jersey Devil's existence every day. But actually seeing the Jersey Devil, I think it might happen eventually. Personally, my view on the Jersey Devil is he tries to hide away from everyone, to keep away from scrutiny, to survive. It is a creature just like you and me, put on this earth, and we're all given natural instinct to survive, and I think that's what it's doing. It's actually out there just thinking about survival.
For the devil hunters and those in the Pine Barrens, the Jersey Devil is as real as the next blood-curdling shriek or flutter of wings in the night. This is a demon that won't go away, and until it's found, the hunt will continue. Halfway around the world, there are still more ancient legends that walk the night. Great Britain is famous for its ghosts and dragons, its Loch Ness monsters and legendary carnivores that hunt across the marshes, like the Hound of the Baskervilles. Now, over the last few decades, a new kind of monster is traveling the hedgerows, and the strange thing is, it may actually be a flesh and blood creature. And worse, it may just be savage enough to rip your throat out.
We were driving along and we just saw this big cat disappearing into the hedge.
And this big tail, which was at least 2 feet long, went across my face.
Hundreds of reports suggest that predators are on the loose. Giant cats, perhaps some sort of pumas or panthers. They've been cropping up across the country, yet officially, the government says they don't exist. Still, distinctive big cat sheep kills are surfacing.
I believe that there are very large cats free in this country, and the evidence that we've gathered so far seems to indicate that there are quite a number of them throughout the land.
Basically, the government doesn't want to know, and I think it's only when somebody is killed or seriously injured that they are going to sit up and take notice.
Some believe that the descendants of prehistoric Ice Age cats still exist in England. Others say Roman soldiers may have brought leopards with them when they conquered Britain. Others still believe animals were released or escaped much later in the 1970s, when the government began to ban all dangerous captive animals. What's clear to monster hunters across the British Midlands is that something's definitely out there. David Spencer and his son Nigel run Panther Watch. They spend much of their time tracking reports like this one from local policeman Dave Toon. Big cats have recently been seen by police, zookeepers, and the RSPCA.
Approximately the size of a small fox.
Following up on a big cat sighting, Constable Toon was surveying the area when he spotted a black object in the field.
When I lowered the binoculars and turned to my right, about 10 yards to my right was this big black cat. And I could see that it was about the size of a small fox, certainly 2 to 3 times bigger than a household cat. It turned, looked at me, and then ran off. But as it ran in a loping sort of movement, keeping its head very, very still and very low to the ground, which again is reminiscent of large black cats such as panthers and that type of animal.
Mostly the sightings are reports of the public who phone through to me or to the local press or to the police, and they're passed on. So often in the past, people have walked into their local pub in the evening and said, "I've seen a big cat," and everyone laughs and says, "Pull the other one." But now people don't feel so intimidated. They know very well that these animals are around.
You know, a cat makes that deep sort of growling, off-putting sound. I heard that, and I don't mind telling you, it scared me. And I couldn't think what else it could be, to be honest, other than a big cat of some sort.
And yet, despite growing evidence, scientists and the British government want more proof. They want a body. Big cat webmaster Mark Henson has a theory on this.
I think it could be a cover-up. For a start, the government perhaps does not want to panic the general public. And there's also the question of sheep being killed, farmers' sheep, livestock being wounded.
In the face of angry sheep farmers and panicked citizens, the government would need to mount a big cat cleanup that could cost millions.
It's going to be very, very expensive. And I think that's the main reason that the government are just ignoring this at the moment.
Sensational newspaper headlines, like this recent alleged attack on a boy in Wales, have kept big cats in the news, raising questions about just how many cats there are out there and how they're getting around.
So where would they be coming from?
David and Nigel believe they're traveling along abandoned railway lines. 150 years old, these hidden game trails are a natural draw for big cats.
We've got a fantastic run down here now for probably 8-9 miles without actually going near any houses or anything, just running through the countryside. Absolutely ideal for big cats to wander along, and there's absolutely full of rabbits, all these embankments.
Tonight, David and Nigel are setting off along one of the abandoned rail lines that lead to Leicestershire. At night, these lines take on an ominous look. It's impossible to tell what's out there.
Ideal for the cats to wander around.
When you look at things like the railway...
David's research has established a pattern down the rail lines and into the cities. A recent incident in the town of Somersby began when a woman heard something knocking over her garbage cans.
And looking in through the glass door, only a matter of a foot at the most from her, was this very big cat, over 2 feet high, and it was scavenging from the dustbin which it had knocked over. From what we can see, there are a large number of these animals in the wild now. There isn't a few, there's certainly a breeding population, and they seem to be increasing in numbers.
Where will the cats strike next? Quentin Rose, a dangerous animal trapper for zoos and wildlife parks, has been trying to trap a big cat in the British countryside for years.
I studied zoology at Cardiff University and then became a zookeeper for 15 years, specialising in big cats and elephants. In between zoo jobs, I lived and travelled with the Cree and Chippewa Indians in northern Canada and learned a lot about tracking and trapping from them. I've identified 30 areas where there are regular reliable sightings for leopards and 32 for puma. They're breeding in some of those areas, so I've estimated that there's somewhere in the region of 100 leopards and pumas in Britain at the moment. When we look at these animals in a zoo, behind wire, we say, oh, what beautiful animals. But as soon as the wire goes, they become beasts, monsters, things to be afraid of.
And that's exactly what happened throughout the last few decades. In 1963, police and troops were called out to hunt the Surrey puma. Later, soldiers stalked the beast of Exmoor. And in the early 1990s, it was the beast of Bodmin Moor that terrified the public. But Quentin Rose has a different perception, a different approach.
What I've found is that if you set traps where an animal has been seen, it's already moved on, so it's pointless. What I've been doing is building up a pattern of how the cats are moving in the area so I can set traps ahead of them, hopefully catch them as they come through. This wood behind me, there have been several sightings here over the last few years, and 1 or 2 spots they've been seen going through on a number of occasions, so that's where I set traps. Yeah, there was a sighting here a couple of years ago where a woman was walking her dog along the fence, and as she went through the gate, she just looked back and the leopard was skirting along the fence behind her. It saw her, turned and ran through a gap in the hedge. It's the second time I've had reports of it going through that gap, so it obviously knows it and uses it.
Using humane traps, Quentin is on a mission to capture one of the beasts alive before someone goes after it with a gun, with potentially disastrous results for the cat and the human.
A farmer taking one on with a shotgun is quite likely to be killed within a fraction of a second. I've worked with these cats all my adult life. I've been mauled by a leopard. I've had 3 friends killed by big cats. I'm fully aware of the speed and the power with which they can attack.
Quentin has investigated a number of sheep kills, which demonstrate the frightening power of these big cats. While dogs, badgers, and foxes can account for some of the more gruesome feedings, big cats kill in a very distinctive way.
Cats will kill with a single throat bite. There'll be claw lacerations and usually impact injuries where they've struck it with a paw. This next injury concludes that it is a big cat attack.
And it's this evidence, showing the massive puncture wounds of a classic big cat kill, that Quentin and others believe is the best proof of a big cat presence in England.
Could cause that sort of injury.
Where are the big cats lurking now? Armed only with his camera, Mark Henson is gathering photographic evidence for his website. He's checking out the location of a recent big cat attack in an ancient churchyard.
I probably got a bit too obsessed with it. I used to have these dreams that I was being stalked by an animal out in the woodlands. It used to be sort of wake up to a bit of a cold sweat when a cat was going for me.
Mark believes that Romans brought the first leopards here. He points to 200-year-old reports like the famous Devonshire hoofprints as proof that the animals have been around for much longer than most realize. One snowy morning in the early 1800s, the people of Devon reported seeing strange footprints all over the streets, on the rooftops, going for miles into the countryside. The locals thought it was the devil. Mark blames a more worldly source.
What I think it was possibly cougars. At the time, the gentry, the lords of the manor, they keep cougars as pets.
And
most sightings are in daylight. People have spotted big cats in fields, on trails, or crossing highways, and sometimes they're caught on tape. This recent sighting, photographed by a man in Rutland, apparently shows a large black panther crossing a farmer's field. But can we be sure of what we're seeing? While filming Police Constable Dave Toon's encounter, our own camera crew spotted what looked like a black panther at the far end of the field.
I don't know, it looks quite big when it goes sideways.
But the scale was a little off.
That was definitely, even from this distance, I could tell that was a household cat. The one that I saw was more big cat-like in that it was a more slimline sort of version.
In this business, so-called big cat sightings have to be examined carefully, as Quentin Rose found out while investigating an Army report of a big cat prowling the edge of a military camp. What showed up in his trap was not exactly the giant feline everyone had expected.
This might be the animal we've been looking at. It's a tabby. Quite often people do see black domestic cats, black Labradors. One person even seen a black plastic bag blowing in the wind. So now I ask some very specific questions, and if it looks promising from that, then I will go out and investigate further.
So, evidence for the phantom big cats remains steeped in mystery, especially where bodies are concerned. Why have no dead panthers shown up on the motorways?
This driver had seen a large animal he reckoned was a big cat being dragged off the side of the road into the back of a van by these men. The chances are they were probably something to do with the government, allegedly. Something to do with the government.
Government conspiracy or not, either way, each day brings more and more big cat sightings, however sketchy and hard to confirm. The experts are conflicted, and the public, well, they're still making up their minds.
No, we don't have a puma's body at the moment, but as the police have said to us themselves, if they had enough eyewitness accounts that they've got now of panther and puma sightings just in Leicestershire and Rutland, then they would have convicted a murderer 20 times now, and that's been stated.
So far, accounts of attacks on people have been few and hard to pin down. Hunters believe the animals are most often harmless. But Quentin Rose is worried.
As the numbers increase and more encounters occur, it is not a matter of if people are killed, it's a matter of when.
And so the British big cat mystery goes on. And until one turns up in Quentin's trap, the search will continue. They don't have leopards in the Puerto Rican jungle, but something fast and mean is out there, and it's hungry. People in the local villages say it's not a big cat, but a blood-sucking creature that's on the loose, that it's been attacking their livestock for years. To this day, they live in terror of its nighttime visits.
The Chupacabra eat everybody the chicken. Nobody got chicken over there.
I have personally investigated 250 to 300 attacks on animals by the Chupacabra.
Well-documented reports of the creature began here in the 1990s and spread out across Latin America. The original story goes back centuries. Taino Indian legends speak of a mosquito man who invaded their villages. Speculation about a demonic presence may have its origin in the Indian migration to this island centuries ago. Settling here to worship the gods of the mountains, they call this land Borican, a sacred place to communicate with the lords of the sky. Yet they also lived in terror of the nights, when frightening monsters roamed the countryside looking for something or someone to eat. For 500 years, the evil spirits of Puerto Rico would lie in wait until the terror of the Chupacabra was unleashed on the land.
Estas escenas nos hacen recordar la ola de ataques atribuidos al llamado chupacabras. No es la primera vez que aparecen.
Over the past 10 years alone, there have been hundreds of reported sightings. Documented attacks all across Puerto Rico, rippling outwards from Mexico to Costa Rica. And with each one, the media attention and the fear seems to grow. Some say it's a classic ghost story. Some say there's more than meets the eye. Demon, flesh and blood creature, or mass hysteria. One thing seems certain. Animals across the island are being killed in a very unusual way.
He only comes out at night.
Right.
This animal. And he would attack certain amount at one time. He would stop for a while, and then he'd continue again.
Monster hunters Bob Buck, Joyce Murphy, and her group have come to Puerto Rico to seek out eyewitnesses and stories about the animal known in Spanish as the goat sucker, the Chupacabra, a blood-drinking, reptilian-looking creature which some say has been attacking animals with a growing frequency in recent years.
It's not an animal I think you'd really want to upset. Anything can kill a healthy 1,500-pound bull, run it down and kill it. I don't think most people would really want to come face-to-face with it.
Searching for the Chupacabra in its natural habitat is one way to dig up fresh evidence. But Bob and the team of amateur cryptozoologists hope to find most of what they're looking for among the recent sighting reports in rural villages.
I personally do not believe or disbelieve on the Chupacabra. I take it that the people that see these witnesses aren't lying, aren't crazy, aren't drunk, and that, well, illusions don't kill animals. It's definitely a creature. And once you determine that, then you look at the evidence to try to determine what this creature may be.
To understand more, Bob and Joyce will have to travel into the heart of Puerto Rico. After dozens of encounters by farmers and policemen in the mid-90s, theories about the Chupacabra abound. Unknown species, bizarre mutation, or even a government genetic experiment unleashed on the people of Puerto Rico. A sizable U.S. military presence here has fueled many stories. On top of the Taino's Sacred Mountain, now a nature preserve, sits an impressive array of aircraft control towers. Some speculate the area also houses top-secret underground labs, site of countless classified experiments.
There's some that believe that the Chupacabra was genetically engineered in these underground bases with, that was a combination alien-human military complex. It maybe escaped or maybe was allowed to roam the area to determine how people would react in an isolated, contained area such as Puerto Rico.
Bob, Joyce, and their group, known as Beyond Boundaries, searched the world for strange, unexplained phenomena. Over the next 10 days, they're on a mission to explore all the theories about the Chupacabra, no matter how extreme. There's no denying the physical evidence. Throughout Puerto Rico, domestic animals as small as rabbits and as big as a 1,500-pound bull have been attacked. Investigating one recent incident, the group travels to a village on the edge of the rainforest.
And one night, we can hear rattling noises. Cages were bent in. Some of them the wounds were in the neck, the ones that were laying on the floor. But the ones that were still in their cages, it seems like whatever it was pulling the rabbits out of the cages.
Attacks on rabbits are not uncommon. This man told local TV he thought he saw something next to his rabbit cages. When he went to investigate, he caught it by surprise. It had very big, glowing eyes and looked like the descriptions of the Chupacabra. Said to be 4 to 5 feet high, with powerful hind legs, an ability to glide through the air, and a mosquito-like proboscis used to drill into its victims, the Chupacabra is the stuff of nightmares. It's not the size of the creature that's so scary, but the way it's said to strike, 1 or 2 small entry wounds, winding in with surgical precision, turning organs into Swiss cheese. Examining damage inflicted by this creature, local veterinarian Carlos Soto says he's never seen anything like the small, cauterized wounds.
My theory is that this creature has some type of organ or system or something that once it goes in, has the capacity or going, flexible into searching for different organs, okay?
At attack sites like this across the island, people are staggered by the cold precision of the wounds they're seeing. Cages are not bent as with a cat or dog attack. And although this chicken has many small holes, there was no evidence of blood found in the dead animal's wounds. This woman's dog was killed in a similar way. small surgical punctures in its neck. And now she fears for the children in her neighborhood. Searching for new evidence, the group heads back to meet with Jose Battaglia, assistant to Chemo Soto, the mayor of Canovanas, site of the first Chupacabra attack. Since 1995, startling reports have been coming in from Canovanas about the Chupacabra landing on rooftops, flying past windows, and attacking animals. A local policeman is said to have shot at it, only to have the bullets bounce off. The mayor, a self-styled Indiana Jones, has staked his last few elections on a promise to rid the town of this creature once and for all.
I asked for help from the police, civil defense, and National Guard, because as a mayor, I was worried about the population. I organized an expedition to try and catch the Chupacabra. I want to solve this problem.
Over a period of several years, Mayor Soto's civil defense team launched numerous expeditions into the jungles of Eleuthère, often tying up goats as bait, with the idea of tranquilizing and capturing a live Chupacabra. Team members reported strange smells, even footprints, but each time they came back with nothing. And the Chupacabra struck again.
This is where it's at, the gentleman we're going to interview.
What's behind these attacks? The group heads to the site of a very recent incident. Most of the carcasses were disposed of. Bob is trying to determine if this is a genuine attack or part of a pattern of hoaxes. The caretaker describes the unusual manner in which his roosters were killed.
In other words, he's saying that the claws, he used to stick the claws. And eventually he used to cut, sometimes chop the neck off.
Okay. Could you detect if like it was maybe 2 or 3 talons or something like that? Like, or can you, how many? How many? It also stated that there was puncture wounds in the back of the base of the neck. That is a classical attack by the Chupacabra.
If the world is going to believe in the existence of the Chupacabra, Bob needs some hard evidence, and he's hoping to find it by setting up video surveillance near the locations of recent sightings. Knowing the powerful creature may be only a leap away makes him a little nervous, but he's determined to find the truth.
This creature mostly travels at night. It's nocturnal. It seems to prefer the darkness to do its dirty work, to do its killing. I do believe the government has captured this creature. I believe they know a lot more than they claim to do, and it seems like there is a suppression of information, but necessarily because the government has it doesn't mean we're going to have access to it.
The next day, a local takes the group to the site of old Indian petroglyphs that show odd alien figures. Taino legends tell us this was a place of ancient contact between men and the gods. Today, there are a surprisingly high number of strange incidents over the Eleuthère Preserve. UFO sightings, eerie lights above the misty mountains. At one nearby Chupacabra attack site, this woman says her father recently saw a flying saucer soaring up towards the Eleuthère rainforest. Faced with UFOs and Chupacabras, two sets of such odd, unexplained phenomena, who could help but put them together? Certainly not Beyond Boundaries President Joyce Murphy.
I think it's probably something to do with UFOs and aliens, and maybe it's like a pet or an alien hybrid of some sort, because it's usually seen before, during, or after a UFO appearance, like within the same hour, there'll be a UFO either there at the time or before or after people have seen the Chupacabras. It's happened many times that way.
Aliens and monsters? It seems hard to believe in the daytime hours. But all across Puerto Rico, there are those who feel it must be true, even city officials.
But we know for sure that the Chupacabra should be something strange, something from any other place in the world, maybe from outer space, or maybe it's a visitor from any planet. But we are not sure. But I believe that the government is hiding something.
To get to the bottom of all this, the team heads right into the El Yunque Preserve, the center of the sightings, where they get the official response.
As manager of this reserve, we have no known fact of sighting of chupacabras. I lived most of my childhood in the foothills of this mountain, and I know this forest very well. And we got a 24-hour operation, almost 360 days of a year, and nobody can attest to any of that.
This is not an illusion. This is real. What it is, I don't know, but I do know these people are very fearful of this. It has killed a lot of animals, and I don't see any purpose of them making stories up.
There's no wonder some people in Puerto Rico are preoccupied with aliens. The island is, after all, the home of America's SETI program and its massive Arecibo radio telescope featured in the film Contact. It's been listening for signals from outer space since the 1970s. The team is traveling inland to Arecibo on a tip from an unlikely source, a group of remote viewers, clairvoyants. These psychics are certain several chupacabras have been seen on the cables of the telescope itself. And as the mission gets odder and odder, the team keeps right on going.
Some of the remote viewers drew pictures of these creatures that actually were sliding down on the cable. One creature was killed. They caught it either, I believe they said they caught it alive, and then they may have captured it, and then on the other hand, another remote viewer said it was actually killed. So we need to investigate that further.
A discussion with the scientific head of the visitor center seems to bring matters back down to earth.
Do you believe that, like they say on a chupacabra, that they're actually no such things, they're probably just wild dogs? I mean, do you have any kind of take on any of this?
Oh, yes, I don't believe in them.
Okay.
I don't believe them. I just believe that, like the chupacabra thing, it's like a legend that suddenly people start to follow, but there's no evidence for that. When people look at the evidence, it's just fake.
Despite some resistance, the group continues undeterred, scanning the perimeter of the dish and speaking to workers. But the search for the Chupacabra at Arecibo does not uncover any new leads. The alien Chupacabra connection remains cloudy at best.
People do think I'm nuts, I'm sure, but that doesn't bother me at all. Really, everybody in the world has their own form of craziness. I am a monster hunter. I don't want to hurt him, though. I just want to see what he is. I'd love to feel him. I'm a very tactile person. If I met the Chupacabras, and I don't think I would be too afraid to walk up and actually get hold of him and just feel him, see what he's made of.
Gathering down on the southern tip of Puerto Rico with other paranormal enthusiasts, the team ends their journey as they started it, mystified but eager.
I think it is possible we may find a chupacabra, but it's like the UFO. A lot of people believe they exist, but actually to say that they do or not, I think that's a personal quest by everyone.
Whether you believe it's local wildlife, an extraterrestrial, or just a figment of mass hysteria, maybe only one thing is certain. Until a chupacabra's body is found, monster hunters like Bob will continue their search. Although our world has gotten smaller, more scientific, the monsters still linger out there, out beyond the edge of our experience. The strange tales, the shadowy fears, they draw us back again and again into the darkness on a hunt that never ends. Ever since mariners first took to the sea, they feared the monsters of the depths. dragons said to attack ships and devour hapless sailors. But close encounters with sea serpents aren't just a thing of the past. In recent years, a sea monster has been sighted by hundreds of people off the west coast of Canada.
The Cabrosaurus, or the serpent, was about 20 feet probably from the beach.
It was like going back thousands of years and actually seeing something prehistoric.
We proceeded to land, and we landed beside this log that moved. We then realized that it was the Cabrosaurus.
There was this huge neck and head came out of the water, and about 15 feet maybe behind that, there was the first big curve of a body with fins, and about another 15 feet behind that was the second fin.
For as long as anyone can remember, there have been stories about a huge snake with a horse-like head, writhing its coils through British Columbia's coastal waters. For centuries, this sea serpent appeared in Native American mythology, on stone carvings and on the sides of whaling canoes. Settlers named it Cabrosaurus after the bay in which it was thought to live, near the provincial capital of Victoria. But most Canadians dismissed it as a myth. Then one day in 1937, a northern whaling station made an incredible discovery. What looked like a juvenile version of the creature was pulled from the belly of a whale. It was considered conclusive proof by many, until the carcass vanished without a trace. Scientists Ed Bousfield and Paul LeBlanc have been chasing the Cabrosaurus for 30 years. Now joined by cryptozoologist Jason Walton, the team is trying to gather concrete proof of the creature's existence.
Roughly, how is it?
How far is that around? Let's say 10 feet.
On most days, Jason gets up at 4:30 a.m. to begin an early morning vigil on the beach. He's talked to enough people who know the Cabrosaurus is out there. He just needs the pictures to prove it.
There's got to be some reason this animal comes into this part of the world. The sea serpents and these mysterious animals are sighted all over the place, all over the world in every sea. But this animal is sighted every year, and we just have to think that it's here for some purpose, whether that's reproductive reasons. And if it wasn't for the fact that you have hundreds of people seeing exactly the same thing, there probably wouldn't be a point to all this. But it's the one thing that drives us all on.
The Cabrosaurus has been spotted as far south as San Francisco and as far north as Alaska. But each year, this is where the most frequent sightings occur, Deep Cove near Victoria. The amazing consistency of these reports, from housewives to commercial pilots, is what brings Paul LeBlanc and Ed Bousfield back here each year.
Hello. How you doing? Deep Cove is a very remarkably deep inlet, and there are some observations that suggest that the females actually come ashore onto some beaches here and bear their young nocturnally at night. So we are hoping that someone can at least obtain a small baby specimen, which has been taken. Then we can come to grips with the second level of knowledge that we need to convince all our scientific colleagues of its reality.
Caddy is still in the realm of cryptozoology. That is, it's somewhere between having been seen, observed, but not caught yet. And so the specimen in the lab is not there, right?
Unlike most of their colleagues, Bousfield and LeBlanc are so convinced of the creature's existence that they tried to have it classified as a new form of marine reptile. They believe that the now infamous Naden Harbor carcass of 1937 was a true specimen, unfortunately dismissed by the Provincial Museum and lost forever. But there is still someone alive who remembers. Ed and Jason pay a visit to the home of Jim Wakelin, a worker at the whaling station where the creature was discovered inside the whale.
I don't know what it was, but it certainly wasn't a fish. And it wasn't an unborn whale, I know that. There's no doubt about it.
Seen in this photograph holding a fetal baleen whale, Jim knew the difference between the freakish creature on the dock and a young whale, as the carcass was classified at the time by Francis Kermode, curator of Victoria's Provincial Museum.
And the head did not arrive in Victoria. And I don't think a lot of it arrived in Victoria. So when this fellow Kermode had a peek at it, he didn't have very much physical evidence to go by, so he did not take it seriously.
How are you going to know what it is unless you can compare it to something? I couldn't say it was a horse, could I? It didn't look anything like a horse. So I don't know what it was. But it was definitely something strange, that's for sure. Yeah, what? Fire one. That thing was to wake up tomorrow and we're floating off somewhere. I could say, oh, I saw a serpent, but did I see a serpent? Or what was it I saw? I don't know, do I? You can't tell me either. You still can't tell me it's a sea serpent. Although it looked like one.
So we'd like to think that somewhere out there, someone has got a sea serpent skull growing dust on their bottom basement closet, and one day we may find this.
At the home of an eyewitness, Jason sets up the first of a series of cameras, linked via computer, to capture the creature on video. This is the second year of the Caddy scan project, and they're hoping for some promising results. Bob Iverson, an experienced commercial fisherman who knows his sea life, believes he saw the Cadbrosaurus from this patio.
I saw this thing, right? And it was like tires coming up, one here, one there, one here, and I got up, looked, tried to see it, it was gone, and then I saw it again halfway between here and the Green Boy, which is, it's a good distance out, good 15-minute row to get to that far. So it was moving fast.
And actually turned around and came back.
Ed and Jason check over the Caddy scan gear. The system only starts up when it detects motion on the surface of the water. Last year, it turned up some intriguing video evidence of a creature swimming across the bay, moving steadily forward, occasionally lifting its head out of the water. It didn't seem to move like a seal or a whale.
Something did pop up, but it simply was too far away and it was too obscure. We do have these cameras set up where there are multiple sightings every year, so it's got to pay off. We hope it pays off.
In one of the most famous Deep Cove sightings, Terry Osland was out walking early one morning when she came face to face with a 40-foot Cadbrosaurus on the beach, rearing its head up in front of her.
And as I came up to where the steps go down, this head popped up, and I looked straight into the face of this creature, which was, I guess almost a foot wide in the face. And then it dropped its head down, and I sort of backed off, and I heard a splash, and I went to look over again, and I saw it going into the water, and it was just the tail end. I definitely knew I'd seen something, because not only did I see it, but I could smell it. And it left a funny taste in my mouth, which was sort of metallic-like. So I feel that definitely did see it, because there's three senses: taste and the sight and the smell. And the next morning I phoned the Provincial Museum to ask them about it, and they said they thought I'd seen an elephant seal, but that was definitely not an elephant seal.
There are other things, I'm sure, that are in the ocean that we don't know about. Megamouth, a very large, very strange-looking shark, was caught by accident in a submarine cable in Hawaii. No one had ever seen that before. This is a shark that's almost 20 feet long. Didn't even know it existed. So if today we caught Cadbrosaurus and were able to bring it into a museum and identify it as clearly another form of marine life that had never been described before, then it would be real. Then we've actually got a body that scientists can work on and test and examine.
Only 2 hours up the island from Victoria, scientists have unearthed some of the best preserved marine reptiles ever found. Jason is investigating these ancient bones to determine a possible link with the Cadbrosaurus. 50-foot marine reptiles like this elasmosaur used to navigate the deep waters of Vancouver Island 80 million years ago. Is it possible that some survived to this day?
Do you think there's some physical characteristics between this fellow and these remains here?
Well, they both had a long, slender body. This almost looks like it has a very long tail to it, much similar to this guy here.
Right.
But on this photograph, at the very tip of the tail, there appears to be like a telson with furca, like you'd find on the tail of a lobster.
Do you think it's an actual living entity, or you think it's...
Oh, I do. I believe it. This is the carcass of some animal. Yes, when you have two marine zoologists that are saying, hey, there's enough evidence here to continue looking at this, then
right.
Yes, I think they should keep looking at it.
In the meantime, the sightings keep coming in. Recently, a seasoned commercial pilot on a routine training flight spotted a Cadbosaurus in the waters off Deep Cove.
It was a training flight, so the idea of this training flight was to just do continuous landings and takeoffs, and we landed beside this object in the water, which happened to be the Cadbosaurus. We both looked at each other because there was two pilots on the plane, and we looked at each other, and we at that time says, I don't think we're going to tell anybody about this one. It just was the Ogopogo or the Loch Ness monster, and the mythical creature, and we happened to see it.
The animal was swimming more or less in a straight line then, Don. It wasn't zigzagging.
Yeah, it
from
was
side to side.
swimming in a straight line from.
Dr. Ed Bousfield pays Don a visit with a plan to fly over the same part of the inlet at the same time of year. He hopes to spot the Cadbosaurus again.
So the loops actually came up high enough that
you could see through.
See underneath.
Yeah.
So there's no other marine animal that
no,
has that kind of...
And certainly none that would, if it was a seal or a dolphin or anything else. I see them all the time, of course. And if they're going to jump, they splash and then they're gone.
At this height, spotting even a 30 to 70-foot sea monster isn't easy. In fact, Don first mistook the creature for a floating log, but when it sprang to life and sped away, it was moving faster than his plane.
This is the island up ahead where we actually saw the Caddy. We landed just slightly on the west side of it, right beside the Caddy.
Then, Ed spots something mysterious.
I thought I saw a floating log up ahead off the point. Gone off to right, almost straight ahead, there's a floating log at the surface near the shore.
Okay, well, we'll take a look.
And it just...
It might be an immense log. It might be something else. But when they swing back around to have a look, they can't find a trace.
Well, there's a seal in the water there. You see the seal in the water?
Oh, yes. Well, this log was a little bigger than that seal, but it's not there anymore.
Yeah.
Well, I saw a log down there, two sections to the log, and when we turned around and flew back, the log had gone. Here I am with a camera, and I didn't take a picture of the log. This happens even to the best of us. Unbelievable.
Who knows? Who knows?
Meanwhile, yet another sighting report has come in from a tour boat operator. Jason gets to work on a crime scene-style sketch of the creature.
Right. Certainly doesn't sound like an elephant seal to me.
No, the body's just too long.
These eyewitness drawings are sometimes molded into three-dimensional models. Jason returns to Terry's to see if he got the basic design right.
Well, I've got something here to show you.
Okay.
We've got something a little more three-dimensional.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe this might tally with what you saw that day.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yes.
All right.
Oh my.
Yes.
Other than the face being downward, yes, it's very much. So.
You think that might be close, eh?
Fairly close, yes. As close as you can get, probably, Jason, without seeing it yourself. That's very good.
All through May and June, the prime sighting season, Jason will travel across Victoria to spread the word about the creature, hanging up posters, encouraging witnesses to come forward.
You have to keep your eyes really peeled, or these things will pop up and disappear. You've been looking at something, or you're fiddling around with camera equipment, and then you look up and suddenly it's right there. But you're best to keep your eyes on the water. If you take them down, then Caddy's going to get by you.
The posters are up. The camera equipment is in place. And now, Jason believes, it's just a matter of time and luck until they get that bona fide encounter with the Cadbosaurus, the one documented sighting that turns a myth into reality. Until then, you'll find him in the early hours, stalking the beaches, peering out into the cold green waters of Vancouver Island. The deep oceans still contain so many mysteries, so much uncharted terrain, so many creatures we have yet to discover. But what about coming face to face with a gigantic mythical beast only hours from a major metropolis? Here in Southeast Australia, not far from Sydney, people claim to have encountered a monster ape, a Bigfoot, they call the Yowie. Said to be an intelligent and savage hunter, it roams the backwoods and the backyards, just looking for something to feed on. It's no wonder this massive 10-foot beast has been scaring the living daylights out of people for centuries.
The favourite means of death of animals by the Yowie: decapitation, a quick break of the neck, and bodily dismemberment. All of those things don't sit very well with me.
I was told we have kangaroos, wallabies, wombats, everything, but what I heard behind that bush is something I have never heard, and nor could I describe that roar to anybody. It was so menacing, so savage, and it was directed at me. It made the hair on my neck literally stand up. I break out into goose pimples every time I think about it.
To the Aboriginals, this frightening, hairy man was already here in this timeless land when they arrived. Early Australian settlers had heard the legends, and soon tales of them firing shots at the ape man filled newspaper reports. To this day, in some rural areas, the Yowie remains a terrifying beast of the night, a ferocious creature who kills brutally, without hesitation.
Yeah, the sound of the foot was like a human, but larger, just putting its feet down on the ground very carefully, and you could hear small twigs and things just settling, giving way under the weight.
The Yowie stood up directly in front of me. It was about 6 foot. It was standing outside. It reached across through the bush at me and roared in my face. It then took off through the bush at rather high speed, pushing everything out of its road like a mechanical backhoe, I suppose the best way to describe it. It's pushed everything out of the road and roared as it went.
Dean Harrison and the Australian Hominid Research Team are on a mission. Often working in total darkness, they're using sophisticated night vision and surveillance gear to track the Yowie, and they claim to play a high-stakes game of cat and mouse with the creature.
Look at this. Have a look.
A former bodybuilder and Elvis fan, Dean's a man's man, leading his own team of makeshift commandos. They've come to the Blue Mountains near Sydney to stake out the forest and the homes of recent Yowie eyewitnesses.
We have more evidence to suggest the creature does exist than not. One person has an encounter? Sure. Could be a mistake, it could be a hoax. 10 people, 100 people, 1,000 people, 10,000 people. Where do you draw the line from fiction or reality? People say it can't happen. My question is, why not?
Besides Dean, key members of the team include Ashley Mills, an electronics and surveillance expert, Trevor Smith, a jeweler and map specialist, and a mix of businessmen, lawyers, and outdoorsmen looking for a close encounter with a Yowie. And they haven't been disappointed. Previous expeditions have revealed what they believe to be Yowie beds, footprints, tree bites, not to mention several rock-throwing encounters.
Okay, Ash has just had a visual sighting, a perfect daylight sighting. He had 2 rocks thrown at him, and this thing ran through the bush, and he said he saw him as clear as day.
The incident that started it all for Dean happened late one night while jogging in a thicket next to the suburban streets of his hometown. Stopping to talk to his wife on the phone, he began to hear a commotion in the bushes.
And then I'd hear the foliage being parted, and whatever it was getting closer. So I said to my wife, Donna, I think there's some guy sneaking up behind me here. When I did manage to turn that little bit and see this massive black silhouette standing there behind the foliage, and then it just slowly crept down behind the foliage like so, and I just thought, oh Lord, what is that? My very first flinch to move my foot. It was the most gruesome bellowing roar I'd ever heard in my life. It resembled something between a lion and a bear all in one. As I'm running, this thing was in full flight. It took the bush line round to my left, and it ran about 4 times my speed through foliage that I couldn't even walk through in that sort of darkness. It was bellowing and roaring the whole time. On every step there was a huge guttural grunt. It was nothing the likes I've ever seen in my life, and nothing that Hollywood has yet ever depicted. It was so powerful. If this thing had got hold of me, I wouldn't have had time to scream. It would have snapped my neck like a toothpick, just like that.
How could such a creature still exist? Some scientists speculate that it may have descended from the giant 10-foot primeval ape, Gigantopithecus blacki, that once roamed Asia. Based on dozens of sighting reports, Dean and the group feel the creature may have migrated here, in the Blue Mountains, now a World Heritage Site, an ancient land containing many rare animal and plant species found nowhere else on Earth.
In the United States, I can imagine that some people may see bears and mistake them for a Bigfoot, but in Australia there's almost nothing of the size, weight and general appearance of the Yowie. And some of the eyewitness descriptions are just close range and really impressive. I mean, these people have seen something very, very close. They just couldn't be mistaken.
Back at their base, Dean and the crew prepare their surveillance equipment for installation at the home of an eyewitness.
We get call-outs right across the country for the Yowie, and we're, again, fortunate enough in a position where we can go out and help people out. There's something out there which we've been told is, and it's taking the baits from the buckets, we'll get it on film in no time.
Jerry O'Connor called the team after several dramatic encounters with the Yowie. Now infrared cameras will determine exactly what's been taking the food from Jerry's bait buckets.
What did you have in the basket?
Right, last night, I've left this like this, I haven't touched it, right?
One encounter happened in the dead of night. Jerry was woken by noises outside his window. When he got up to investigate, he couldn't believe his eyes.
I came out the next morning after I saw that silhouette go past. I stood in this spot. Now I'm 6'3", and I would estimate the head as it went past would be about there. So that looks to be around about 8 foot, I think.
As the team sets up the array of infrared cameras and tripwires around the perimeter of the site, Dean checks out another nearby area, showing one of the Yowie's calling cards. Bite marks.
This is the biggest one of all the tree bites you have. This is quite incredible, Jerry, but it's something that's very unique to the Blue Mountains. What you have here is very, very distinct canine indentations across here.
Dean and other Yowie experts believe the animals bite into the tree to get access to the plump larvae, or grubs, under the bark.
Okay guys, can one of you guys turn the light toward the camera and just see if they're working or not?
Yeah, stand by.
As work on the surveillance system around the house is nearing completion, the AHR team gets another call.
That's exactly right, it's almost in the same place.
Only a mile away is a street that's had more than its share of encounters.
We have one street in particular in this town where we have 60 people in the one street that have encountered the same creature over the last 15 years.
The team arrives at Neil Black's, a local school teacher, who claims he and his family have a Yowie living in their backyard swamp. And what's more, they've been feeding it.
We found out that by putting food out for it and going out looking for it, that it actually enjoyed doing that. We came to the conclusion that perhaps the Yowie was a juvenile, very young. It certainly enjoyed the chase. And every Friday evening after work, looking forward to the weekend, we'd go for a chase through the bush with this thing, with the neighbours, and we'd pursue it for several hours. So we came to the conclusion that its favourite game perhaps was hide and seek.
He's big, he's hairy, he's heavy. I'd say conservative estimate from actually looking at him when I saw him, and all the times I was chasing him through the bush trying to catch him, I'd say door-sized, like door height, door width, and proportional mass to go with it. He's big.
Past encounters indicate the Yowie is attracted to food smells, so they decide to lay out some freshly cooked sausages to lure the beast in. Surveillance is set up in a nearby shed.
What impressed me was its weight. It was clearly extremely heavy. It was clearly very powerful and also very fast. That was probably something that impressed me enormously. It was not like a person. There was no way you could describe it. If you heard it once, anybody heard it once, you would say, this is not normal.
But even after a few hours, there's no movement on the perimeter, and the bait is untouched. The Yowie isn't biting tonight. It's time for a change of plans. The next day, undaunted by last night's poor results, the AHR team soldiers on, heading out on a trek into a snake and leech-infested forest. It may be dangerous, but Dean himself has had a Yowie encounter here before.
Try and find some sort of trail.
How much further, Dean?
We found a sign that's very encouraging. Fresh foliage breaks like this generally means you've got something large in the area that is moving around, and that's still reasonably fresh, so I think we're on the right track. I was here 2 years ago. The amount of action we had here was second bar none in any area we've ever been in Australia.
Yeah, keep the noise down. Straight over the other side is the track where he comes up from.
The team will bivouac on this rocky ledge, scanning the darkness in an all-night vigil to capture the beast.
One time we made noise as he ran past. He stopped in his tracks, walked all the way back and circled round us just on the other side of these trees. And he followed us all night that night. He stayed with us for about 6 to 8 hours.
Trying to get a visual of a Yowie, stealth is very important. You have to be very quiet. Some Yowies are inquisitive, but some, if they know you're there, they'll just take another route and go and find their food elsewhere. But you do need to sit very quietly, not make a sound, not even open a soft drink bottle or anything like that. You just sit there for an hour and not make a noise, sometimes 2, sometimes 3. But once he is in the area and he knows you are there by you making a little noise, then you can have fun. And we do that many times in Blue Mountains. We can spend all night playing hide and seek sort of thing. The Yowie is definitely very intelligent. It learns and it knows. It knows what tools are, it knows what weapons are. We've had rocks, massive rocks thrown at us. You cannot be foolish enough to think that you're in the bush so you're smarter than him. He's lived there for many years. Yeah, you have to respect him.
Now we've had action here, here and here. So I'd suggest that perhaps Trev and Mike go up to the end of the road this way. Myself and Ash will follow this track all the way down to here. Now, if anyone gets any action, jump on the 2-ways. What channel?
23, every half hour if there's no contact.
Sit rep every half hour.
The group splits off, each man taking a different track through the woods, hoping to flush the Yowie out.
The fear can get into a person. Knowing that this creature is out there and seeing evidence and hearing him, or actually seeing the Yowie, it is scary. Eyes, that's the key one. These red glowy eyes, that will say, there's a Yowie.
From past experience, this is the track that he's always come up on. The first thing that you'll hear is a branch break right down the bottom of the valley. Then you hear a few footsteps, and then this thunderous running all the way up the valley, and it sounds like an elephant on two legs just smashing and breaking everything in its path. It runs right up here, along the edge of the cliff there, and right up around beside us.
The hunt lasts most of the night, and several times there are large crashes in the woods. But in the end, the Yowie remains unseen, unfilmed, as elusive as ever.
The Yowie is a master of his own habitat. His ability to conceal himself is the secret of his survival. The fact that he has survived for so long, for so many years, with only brief encounters, only goes to prove the height of his intelligence. He's the biggest predator. And I've got to tell you, he is clever, he is cunning. We've seen him stalking from tree to tree. He's a thinker, a real thinker, and he moves with deliberate action.
As long as we as a group and we personally know that the Yowie exists, then I'm sure myself and Dean and everyone else in the group will just keep going and until we get good enough footage that we can say, look, this is a Yowie. And then the skeptics will come out and we'll just get more footage and say, look, well, it's still coming here. You know, this is all the footage. Why aren't you believing us? When it's in a cage or it's dead on the table, it's the only time when someone will believe, but we don't want to go to that stage. We're caught between a rock and a hard place.
Ignoring the naysayers, the Yowie hunters continue their daunting quest to prove the existence of a giant ape man in Australia. So far, they've got no body and no footage, but they continue to log the sightings and savor their personal encounters with the ferocious beast. Monsters come in many forms. Some, like the Yowie, began as a legend and remain in the world of cryptozoology. Others, like the Tasmanian tiger, clearly existed once, until they vanished from the face of the earth. Or did they?
And I picked up this strange animal from about 400 metres away, and it was dog-like really in its appearance, but then it wasn't a dog.
You can never say when the last individual of a species goes extinct.
You know, I'd say that the Tassie tiger is still about because there's been too many reports from all to be wrong.
Tasmania, a lonely island off the south coast of Australia. These misty jungles were home to one of nature's great genetic freaks, a strange missing link from the past. They called it the Tasmanian tiger, or thylacine, a cunning predator, feared for its immense jaws and its ability to rip the heads right off its victims. For the settlers of the 1800s, the Tasmanian tiger was a mystery, a phantom, rarely seen, sometimes heard. Stories of its frightening appearance and ghoulish ways terrified them. It was a primeval collection of spare parts, kangaroo legs, tiger skin, and a massive 120-degree gape, more like a reptile than a mammal. It's easy to see why early settlers called this a monster. Of course, there were also the sensational reports of its feeding habits, the way it would rip open the chest of its victims, suck the blood, and devour the heart and other organs. It seemed as if a vampire was on the loose. And so any attack on sheep became a thylacine attack. Like the villagers in the Tale of Frankenstein, the Tasmanians set out to destroy the monster. The tiger was an evil marauder that had to be stopped, and soon enough, it was hunted to extinction. But Cole Bailey, an outdoorsman and author, believes the animal is still around. Today, he's on an ongoing hunt, searching the mist-shrouded mountain valleys of Tasmania for the elusive creature. Researching and hunting the thylacine has become a full-time job for Cole.
There's nothing else that really fulfills my life now as much as trying to locate this elusive Tasmanian tiger. And the last report I had from this particular area was only a few years ago. So I'm pretty certain the tigers are still traversing this part of the countryside in the southwest.
How could this mysterious predator have come back from the dead? According to science, the Tasmanian tiger disappeared some 70 years ago. After a government bounty was put on its head in the late 1800s, traps were built, rewards were set, the animals were stalked and killed. And in 1936, the last tiger was declared dead, the species officially eradicated. But Cole believes that he has seen this ghost, alive and walking. It was 3 decades back, on a river in southern Australia, when Cole spotted something on the shoreline that would change his life.
And it was dog-like really in its appearance, but then it wasn't a dog. It was the strange way it walked. It propelled itself like a kangaroo would.
The distinctive gait of its marsupial kangaroo cousin convinced Cole that he had in fact seen a thylacine. He followed the footprints inland, but lost the tracks in amongst dozens of other types. This was the beginning of his long search for the Tasmanian tiger. Nearly 20 years later, on a routine campout in the bush, he had another encounter.
It was early one morning. Out of nowhere came this mysterious yip yip, like a fox terrier dog, a high-pitched yip yip, and almost immediately an echo, yip yip, like that. I was fascinated. Now this is exactly as old Bushman had told me the tiger sounds like. I knew then in my own mind that the tiger was there. It gave me great satisfaction to hear that.
These days, Cole goes out several times a week into remote back country to search for the mysterious thylacine. Hiking in the Tasmanian bush can be deceptive. Cole faces one of the most venomous and aggressive reptiles in the world, the tiger snake. Not to mention giant leeches and dense, often razor-sharp underbrush.
And this is pretty rough. It's all uphill and it's downhill coming back, and it's dangerous both ways.
Along this corridor, there have been several sightings of the legendary carnivore in recent years. Loggers and miners have sent in reports. There are also intriguing tracks along the way. And the further he goes, the more he's convinced that this is the right path. Most recently, Cole has taken his search several thousand feet up to a group of remote caves where he believes the tiger has been spending the night.
I got so close that I could smell it one day, early one morning, and I was within a minute of the tiger. He's very cunning, he's very elusive. This is one animal that's got us where he wants us, and he's very elusive, and so people just aren't connecting with the tiger. They might see him, odd people see them, but the people that see them aren't expecting to see them. They get the shock of their life, and it's only for a few seconds. So the likes of me and others like me that go into the bush looking for the tiger, we never seem to see him. But you see signs, and I've seen many signs, and this has convinced me that my search is not in vain. It's just a matter of persevering, and one day maybe my lucky number will come up, and it is luck.
Hundreds of miles from the jungles of Tasmania, there are plans afoot in Sydney which will have a major impact on Cole's search. Torn from the pages of Jurassic Park, a cloning experiment is being carried out. If the thylacine is actually extinct, then the Australian Museum intends to bring it back to life.
We've discovered that a pickled pup of a thylacine, an animal we all thought and accept broadly is extinct, has been extinct since 1936, was actually preserved by a collector in Tasmania in 1866. In pickling this pup, he passed into the future the possibility that its DNA could be preserved. So we dipped into this pickled pup just on the off chance, and against a storm of people who said it's impossible, you'll never find it. And when we came up, there was this wonderful high-quality DNA in vast quantities. We have the thylacine's complete DNA.
Cloning makes a lot of people nervous. The thylacine was scary enough to many, but once we start genetically tinkering with its DNA, are we likely to create a new type of monster?
I mean, there are people who have argued, what if you get some kind of miscegenetic monster? Maybe you're going to get some kind of a kangaroo with stripes, or if you use a cloned animal like a Tasmanian devil, is it going to be as big as a thylacine but look like a Tasmanian devil? What's going to come out of this? Because the only thing that's going in that could make an animal is the recipe for a thylacine. It is the DNA of the thylacine. So I don't expect any kind of strange horror that's going to come out and eat Sydney overnight or anything. I think we're going to get a thylacine back, and that's what we're all counting on.
A lot of rubbish. Why clone an animal that's still here? It's a $1 million shot. I mean, it's a long shot. It's going to take a lot of money, a lot of time, and there's only a 5% chance it'll succeed.
I guess in many ways to those people, this project is a kind of a threatening thing. If we're saying, look, we're going to cut to the quick here, we're going to stop searching for will-o-wisps out there in the wild that may or may not be there, and I personally don't think they are, and actually try to recreate one, that kind of undercuts the sort of magic of searching in the wilderness, in the dark corners of the earth, for mystery creatures.
All the same, there's an old-fashioned dignity to Cole's quest, a kind of determination you won't find in a test tube.
Here's where I suspect he was, right here, in this little overhang. I suspect he was in here. He would have heard me coming down around the other side of that tree and taken off through there. And the smell wafted here for a good couple of minutes, and then away it went. And I knew the animal had gone.
If the thylacine is going to be found, some believe it's here, 100 miles to the north of Cole's hunt.
We think that there are more thylacines in the Mole Creek area than, say, the northeast or south. Being a female tiger hunter, the only female tiger hunter, does become a problem. It's a shame that the other enthusiasts can't get together with me and share our information. And being a woman, they don't really like to go out in the bush with a woman. What we've actually set up is Tassie Tiger Research Centre. We've got the thylacine skull that we actually found. I'll just get him out. Right, now this is the guy that we found on the northwest coast, and it was found in a cave. This is the one that we had carbon dated, and it was found in 1995, and it was no older than 2 years old. So that's probably one of the best finds that we've had so far.
There is some evidence, and it's very interesting. I myself produced some of it to suggest that there are remains of thylacines, even on the Australian mainland, that date in terms of radiocarbon dating to be modern. And having been caught by one of these myself, again, I'm a little bit cautious. There are many things that can give you spurious radiocarbon dates. Contamination by modern carbon sources onto a specimen can give a misleading young date for the thing.
We've got some, what we hope are thylacine feces. Now there's two there. We normally go by size. It's really hard to tell the difference between devil feces and thylacine feces.
Thylacine hunters are a strange breed. We never really get together We know of each other, we tolerate each other, and we even admire each other to a certain respect, but we never get together and share information. There's a certain amount of trade jealousy involved, and we've all got our little methods and know-hows.
One more odd fact keeps believers like Cole on the trail. Despite being officially extinct, the Tasmanian tiger remains protected as an endangered species, leaving many to speculate that the whole story is not getting out.
Well, only less than 20 years ago, 2 men were prosecuted for trying to trap an animal that officially was extinct. And this is a ridiculous situation. So the government must know more than they're letting on.
There are some religious fundamentalists who feel this is playing God. We're interfering with the way of things and that this is a naughty thing to do. My response to these people is very simple. I think we played God when we exterminated that animal. That's when we behaved inappropriately. If there was a time to censure our activity, it was then. Now what we're trying to do is to play smart human and undo that time when we behaved inappropriately.
Now this room, I suppose you could call it my shrine to the tiger. We haven't learnt from this mistake. This is just one. But this animal is probably the largest act of genocide against an animal anywhere in the world that happened against the Tasmanian tiger. It was a total elimination. But luckily a few survived, and the species still survives today because those few managed to escape the net.
With the passage of years, people have grown more sympathetic towards the thylacine. Maybe it's the images of the last lonely animal pacing the Hobart Zoo. Or maybe it's the fact that wild dogs were later found to be responsible for most of the sheep kills. As we stare into the face of genetic experiments, we have to wonder what new monsters we might be unleashing. And so Cole's hunt for the real creature becomes a race against time, to prove its existence before science moves ahead into the unknown.
This last animal, this last representative of its species, of its genus, of a family of unique marsupials, was treated with disrespect, was treated with scorn, and it went out quietly with a whimper, and it was gone before anybody really understood what had happened. Understanding that tore me apart as a biologist. Who's the monster here? The thylacine or us?
It's a bit like going to war. What are you going to do when the bullets start firing at you? And it's a bit like when you see a tiger. What are you going to do when you actually see the tiger? You're going to go towards it or stand there or go backwards? I've faced this question many times. I've dreamt about it. Many times I wake up and there's a tiger, but it's only a dream.
Will the thylacine walk out of our dreams and into our world? Is it there already? Our planet gets smaller and smaller, but there's still so much about it we don't know. So many unexplored realms, so many fantastic creatures yet to be discovered. Some shadowy corners we have populated with myths and demons, the dark fears of our imaginations. Yet who's to say that in one or two of them, the myths might not be real?